Hey everyone. This week I wanted to talk about cell phones. I just recently got the new Galaxy S25 Ultra. And no, this isn't sponsored. I wish it was. But it has 5 cameras on the back. The big thing about the setup is it has the ability to zoom automatically, if you will. You just pick what your zoom is and it grabs it because it's got the lens for it. Now, as you know, I'm not a fan of using cell phones for main photography, right? If you're capturing an image, if you are home for the holidays and you get your family around you and that's what you've got, capture with it. If you want a really good photograph, then what you want to do is use a professional photographer. So let's take an example of an event. Let's say we're talking about something like a wedding, right? You can get a lot of pictures from a lot of people in a lot of different angles using their phones, right, to take pictures at your wedding, but you don't want the picture of the bride and groom or the wedding party or the parents of the bride and groom. You don't want those to be left to somebody taking a photo on a cell phone. You want those to be laid out. You want them to be taken care of. They want to be taken properly. You want them to be retouched afterwards. You want them to look fantastic. You don't want them to look like a snapshot. Now, part of that reason is the skill of the photographer. The other part of it is going to be the glass that's used, right? The better the glass, the better the photograph. The glass that's on these cameras, even though they have okay sensors, they just don't have the same quality as you're going to get in a professional camera. That's not to say you can't get decent pictures with a cell phone and that you couldn't take a cell phone image and retouch it afterwards. It's just better to use the appropriate tool for what you want to do. If you want a professional image, you need professional equipment. It just goes hand in hand. You wouldn't take a screwdriver or a wrench and try to change a tire unless you were desperate. So you want to use what the tool is that you need for the job. That said, they've gotten so much better on the lenses for the cell phones, and I think it's kind of a playoff back and forth here a little bit. Drones have to be lightweight, and in order to be lightweight, they have to have really good sensors in it if they're going to take photographs. And so that's pushing the sensors into a smaller, lighter form factor. The same thing that they were doing with cell phones. So I think you get a little competition there going back and forth as to, well, if I can make this a little bit better over here for the drone, well, I can use that in a phone. And if I can make it a little better on the phone, then I can use it on a drone. And I think you're getting a little back and forth there, a little bit of competition, even though they're used for different purposes. And you're not going to be using your cell phone necessarily for cinematography. You might notice that some ads are now trying to tout phones for that purpose. And I'm thinking that's because of the advances that they've made in the cell phone, or the technology for those sensors in drones. A drone small sensor, they're not as small as what's in a cell phone typically, but as you get better on making those better and getting those more cinematographic photographs from those drones, well, if the technology works there, it can be moved over to a cell phone, kind of. Depends on the size of the lens that's on there versus the size of the lens on the drone. But a lot of the drones have very small sensors on it, so it's not that big of a gap between what the cameras on the back of the phones look like, especially now. As I look at the back of my S25, I've got the two smaller ones that kind of remind me of a very, very tiny drone. But the next three that are on there are a good size, and they're almost the same size as my Autel drone. So they're as they make those cameras bigger, they can do more things with the sensors on it, which gives you a better image. So the end goal here is not to say that you can't use a cell phone to get a photograph. Of course you can. But if you want to have a really professionally done photograph, you're going to have a professional photographer behind the lens. And the reason I'm saying that is you can get photographers that have really good glass and good cameras and take snapshot photographs, because they meet some of the criteria, but not all the criteria on what it's going to take to get a good photograph. That said, once you've got your photographs ready and you've got people there and you have a cell phone, you can definitely use a cell phone to capture those images, because you can't always get or afford to have a professional photographer around for everything. So if you can, and you're interested in keeping photographs of your family, it's probably best to get the best phone you can. Now, I went with the S25 because I'm a professional photographer, and it had 5 lenses on it. And I wanted to test it out and see what I thought of where the current technology is. But that's not to say it's what everybody needs to do. There are very good cameras on cell phones that are much cheaper. But again, you're using these just to get those family portrait type shots, and not professional headshots and professional photography. So while a lot of people will tell you not to use a cell phone, I'm not a fan of them for use for professional photography, but I am a fan of using them to capture those moments of your life so that you can remember them later on. And that's what I got for you guys this week. I'll talk to you all next week.